Whether you may have pre-diabetes or be told that you're a diabetic or even have type 2, I'm not trying to tell you how to live. You know what to do. Just take care of yourself. My daddy. Even though his legs were amputated just above the knee, he did not let that stop him. He was determined to keep going. He was an inspiration to those who saw him, as well as talked with him, whether in person or over the phone. He did not give up. After both of my daddy's legs were amputated and he came through recovery, I thought that he would get prostheses, but that wasn't his plan. He was going to live his life from his wheelchair. And that is certainly what he did. My daddy had a vegetable garden in our backyard that he would work in. He would be found painting the foundation of our home and garage. He mixed cement together and would fill the cracks around the foundations. He was found trimming the hedges around our home. He would give encouragement to other amputees who felt like throwing in the towel and giving up. He would encourage them by his words and his own life that was not the end of theirs. They could keep going and have a happy, productive life. And yes, my daddy did all of these things and more from his wheelchair. Now let's take a look at the hand controls. Back then, we didn't even know that could be done. It was certainly a blessing for my daddy. The black handlebar that you see, my daddy would use that to push it down towards the floorboard to accelerate, and then push it in towards the dashboard to slow the car down and come to a complete stop. To turn on the headlights, my daddy would use the light button as normal to pull it out. But just above the black handlebar was a switch. With that, he would control the high and low beams. The metal box that you now see would now control the turn signals. Up for the right side, down for the left. He would pull the metal bar out in the center for the hazard signals. All of that would connect to a metal bar that ran underneath the steering column, down to the accelerator and brake pedal. At this point, the horn wouldn't work in the Continental, so they added a horn button under the dashboard where my daddy had to push the black button in order to get the horn sound. There was also a knob attached to the steering wheel that if my daddy didn't want to turn the steering wheel normally, he would grab the knob to rotate the steering wheel around to make it more easier to turn. My daddy, he could now continue enjoying the Continental Mark III. I believe at the time that my daddy became a double amputee, he was now 74 years old. He had already enjoyed the Continental for 13 years, from the age of 61 to 74. If I may add, to those of you that may not quite understand, when my daddy drove to various places and around town, he was in the Continental by himself. There was a board that my daddy would use to slide from his wheelchair to the front seat of the Continental, then reach outside of the door, fold up his wheelchair, and put it behind the driver's seat. Shut the door, adjust his seat, and drive on. My daddy loved driving anyway, and to be able to continue to drive the Mark III was a joy, being a double amputee. He would drive to church, to the barber shop, and around town. He had the freedom to drive the Continental. If there's a life lesson that I could share with you from my daddy, and that is, whatever you may be going through, whether it is loss of a limb, sickness, the death of someone you love, you may be dealing with alcoholism, drugs, or debt, whatever it may be, don't you ever give up. Life can always be better. You can have joy in this world. This is still the history of J.L.'s car.